All right, welcome back to Wmma Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, coming at you with a special fight preview. So before I get into this, I want to apologize to everyone. When I made my weekend preview video yesterday, I said I was going to try to get this video out last night. Unfortunately, I came down ill, could not get it done, so we're going to try to get it done now. So we're going to UFC Fight Night, Michelle Waterson versus Angela Hill. We're going to the main event. Michelle the Karate Hottie Waterson versus Angela Overkill Hill in the Strawweight division. So let's look at the stats here real quick. Waterson coming in 17-8. Hill coming in 12-8. Now Waterson is coming off of 2 straight losses. First, a decision to Wmma Jędrzejczyk 10 months ago, and then to split over Carla Esparza just 4 months ago. Hill coming in off of a loss as well to Claudia Gadelha via split decision. Preceding that, she had a unanimous decision win over Wmma. They are the same age, 34 years old. Same height, roughly, 5 feet 3 inches. Now, Waterson is listed as 161 centimeters. Hill is listed as 160 centimeters, so basically negligible. Hill, however, does have a reach advantage, 64.5 inches, 164 centimeters. To Waterson's 62 inches, 157 centimeters. All right, so first, let's talk about the Karate Hottie, Michelle Waterson. You know, one of the things that really frustrates me about Waterson is that all these years of training with Holly Holm, whether it's at the Jackson Wink gym or, you know, at home, she's basically turned into a type of, you know, mini Holly Holm herself. She's turned herself into an outfighter now, except whereas Holm is using her fists more, Waterson is using her kicks. She likes to stay at distance and launch those kicks. Basically has 2 weapons. She uses a high kick, almost like a jab, and then she likes to stomp at her opponent's lead thigh. You know, those oblique kicks that so many Jackson Wink fighters love to use. Now, in the clinch is where Waterson can be particularly dangerous. Not as far so much in the striking in the clinch, but if a lot of fighters think that they're going to get the underhooks on her and they're going to be safe, or they think they get one underhook on her and they're safe. But Waterson, she has that head arm throw that so many other fighters in the women's divisions overutilize until they get caught again and again and stuffed with it. Waterson has basically perfected it. And when she gets you to the ground, she can scramble with the best of them. She can latch on submissions real fast. She's also able to use the clinch to hop on to her opponent's back, like she did to Wmma Jędrzejczyk. I can't remember the last time someone, you know, took Wmma Jędrzejczyk's back standing like that. Waterson's biggest weakness, well, I'd say she has 2 biggest weaknesses. A lack of volume. She just does not throw enough volume, and that could hurt her going into this fight. Being an outfighter, she just doesn't throw enough volume. She also tends to throw from way too far outside. It's like she's throwing more to keep her opponents away than she is to actually hit them. Her other weakness is that when she throws her kicks with the rear leg, she overextends a lot, and it leaves her very vulnerable. A best example of this from Waterson would be the Wmma fight, where she overextended on a kick that she did. She basically went to throw it and didn't end up not throwing it, but, you know, overextended herself, which left her vulnerable. She got kicked in the head and knocked down, and that's allowed Wmma to get to the ground and take her back from there. So the lack of volume and the overextending on the kicks with her rear leg, her power leg. But she's still very dangerous, particularly on the ground. I mean, how many submission wins does she have? Let me look this up real quick here. Michelle Waterson. She has 9 wins by submission. 53% of her wins are by submission. This could be, that is huge going in against Angela Hill. So, do not underestimate Waterson going into this fight here. Speaking of her opponent, let's talk about Angela Overkill Hill. So Hill has done very well, made a lot of improvements. She started out as a Muay Thai fighter, but she has, added some very good boxing into that as well. Uses her distance well, uses her range well with the jabs and power hands. It's also allowed her to increase her clinch. She's no longer, I want to say she's not afraid to go to the ground anymore. She'll take opponents to the ground that she knows she'll have an advantage of, usually like smaller fighters like Cyphers and Wmma. But Hill definitely throws a lot of volume. Nice elbows. She beat Ariana Conolasi with the TKO from a cut from a very hard vertical elbow. So Angela Hill has made a lot of improvements. One of Hill's, biggest weaknesses, I would say, is cardio. She definitely slowed down in the 3rd round against Gedalia. And I know a lot of people say, well, she won that fight. Look, had she not slowed down in the 3rd round, I would agree with you. But she did slow down. She did back off. And that cost her the fight. And I would say that another thing that cost her a lot in cardio is I'm an alliance fighter, so I'm going to copy Dominic Cruz's style of footwork. All the alliance fighters apparently say they don't do that. They definitely all try to do that. She tries to copy Cruz's footwork style of keep your feet busy to look busy, even though it's not really doing anything. And that definitely costs her a lot in cardio too, because you're moving around on your feet that much. It's gonna suck up energy. Hill's other biggest weakness is her vulnerability to submissions. A lot of people forget it was only March of last year that she got subbed in the 1st round by armbar, and some of her other losses are 1st round submission. She got subbed by Esparza in the 1st round. That was way back on Tough. And then the next year, lost to Rose Namajunas in the 1st round by submission. So she is still vulnerable to submissions, particularly the type of submissions that Waterson likes to use. Rear naked chokes, arm bars. Those are Waterson's, key submissions. That's usually how she wins. So she's got to watch out, and definitely, I would say, she's got to watch out for Waterson's submissions. So, taking a look at the fight, how they face off against each other. The distance control is going to be the key here. Hill has that reach with her hands. Waterson, though, uses her kicks more than her hands. I think Hill is going to be more of the aggressor, whereas Waterson's going to look to counter. I think that could hurt Waterson because Hill's going to be getting off a lot more volume than Waterson is, and Hill is going to be the aggressor. That's definitely going to score a lot of points. Hill, I would say, has the more powerful strikes as well. Waterson throws those kicks a lot, but she doesn't throw them with a lot of power. So you got distance, you got volume versus power. The clinch, striking-wise, I would say I would give a slight edge to Hill when they're striking in the clinch. Waterson is no slouch in the clinch at all. But here's the kicker. The clinch is where Waterson gets all of her takedowns. She is a clinch takedown specialist with that head and arm throw. Hill's probably going to try to get, an underarm on her and thinks she's going to control her. That's when Waterson throws those takedowns, and she gets them on just about everybody. She's gotten them on fighters with a lot better takedown defense than Hill has. On the ground, if Hill winds up on top in a scramble, Waterson could be in trouble, but Waterson's also dangerous off of her back. If Waterson winds up on top, Hill's going to be in deep trouble. If I were Angie Hill, I would do my best to avoid a ground battle at all costs. I would try to keep the fight at the distance, pick Waterson apart on the feet. If I were Waterson, I would do what she usually does, try to keep the fight at the distance, but if she's falling behind, I would try to get into that clinch and go for those takedowns. Big question here, though. They're taking this fight at 5 rounds on a week notice. They were training for 3 rounds. Their fight was scheduled for 3 rounds. Week out, they become the main event and they agree to a 5-round fight. I've seen people say that this is going to be an advantage for Hill. I just do not see it. Waterson has been in plenty of 5-round fights as well as Hill. I'd say Waterson has been in more 5-round fights than Hill has, if you include her fights in Invicta. I don't see Waterson tiring out, as particularly with the style of fighting that she uses compared to the style of fighting that Hill uses, which relies more on volume. I mean, like I just said, we saw Hill get a little tired against Claudia Gadelha in the 3rd round. If Waterson can take this into deep water, she can easily take control. And that sub-threat is always going to be there, particularly against a more tired fighter. Now, betting-wise, this fight is very even, very close to even. On Tapology, the community predictions, it's almost even, 55 Hill to 45 Waterson. I see a lot more fanfare for Hill online. I'll be honest, I like Angela Hill. I like both of these fighters. I'm a fan of both. I think Hill's praise and fanfare has to do with 2 things. 1, she's been keeping a very busy schedule, and she's been doing pretty well with it. And fighters who fight a lot are going to gain a lot of popularity, particularly if they're winning most of them. I also think it has to do, her popularity also has a lot to do with Waterson making a comment on a post about Dana White. She kind of sucked up to Dana White, and it was an article about Dana White praising Trump. And I think that turned a lot of fans against Waterson as well, which I think is just, I think that's beyond silly, personally. Here's the thing about Hill, though. Yes, she has been busy. However, you got to look at who these wins are against. She lost to Yan Xiaonan, last year in June. Picks up that win over Ariana Carnelossi. Carnelossi, that was her UFC debut. Very unheralded fighter there. Then she picks up a win in January against Cyphers. That is not a good win. I'm sorry. And then she picks up a win over Wmma Lukbunmi. Lukbunmi is a small atomweight. I like Wmma. I don't see her doing very well in the strawweight division. No, not only is she small for the division, she only had 4 fights going into that fight. So, yeah, Hill's racking up some wins in quick succession, but it's mostly against weaker competition. She starts taking these step-ups, and she loses. She lost to Courtney Casey, who was like always a middling fighter at strawweight. She got submitted in round 1 by Randa Marcos. She lost that decision to Yan Xiaonan, who's climbing ahead in the rankings. Then she lost the split to Claudia Gadelha. Gadelha hasn't been looking that good, but hey, she's still a solid top 10 fighter at this point, until proven otherwise. And then you look at Waterson's record. She's not beaten the greatest of fighters either, but you know, she has that win over Casey that Hill lost to, has a win over Herrig. Okay, the Kovacevic win, it wasn't that great. I mean, Kovacevic's on the way down. But, you know, Joanna was expected to destroy Waterson, and she went to decision with Waterson, and then she almost beat the former champ in Carla Esparza. Very close fight there. I mean, I would say Waterson's been doing a lot better against a better quality of opponents than Hill has been doing. Just saying. As for a prediction, I'm going with Michelle Waterson. Yeah, Hill has a lot of hype going in here. She has a lot of confidence. She's, talking a lot of smack. And she's got a lot of fanfare going into this fight. But look, it was only a little over a year ago that Hill got submitted in the first round again. Is it really that hard to imagine that a better submission artist than Michelle Waterson can't do the same or similar? That's why I'm going with Michelle Waterson. Also because of the level of competition as well. Okay, so those are my thoughts on the fight. So, are you a Hill fan? A Waterson fan? Who are you cheering for? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, if you liked the video, please give it a like and share it as well. And while you're at it, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Wmma Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.